What's going on, my fellow subscribers? It's the one and only, the man, the myth, the one and only J Legend, and I'm here today to give you none other than your weekly prescribed chapter review of Bleach. Today what I'm going to be reviewing for you is Bleach chapter 638, entitled Seething Malice is the Height of Comedy. What a mouthful of a chapter title, but nonetheless, let's get into things, but right after that intro. Alright guys, now before I completely dive into the review, I'd like to apologise for having this review out a day late. And the reason was was simply because I was swamped with work. I had some animations that I had to, animations I had to set up and like basically send off to my employers by the end of the day, and it was taking a long time because of a few problems, but nonetheless I managed to get it sorted, and yeah, that's why my review's out a day late. But me having this review out a day late somewhat has benefits, and not just benefits to me as a reviewer having more time to obviously analyse and review the stuff, but benefits to you as well. And the benefits I'm talking about is this. Originally, when I first read the chapter, I read the Manga Panda translation. And now we all know Manga Panda doesn't have the best reputation when it comes for translating, anime and manga. Well, manga, I mean. So what I did is I waited and I saw the manga stream translation, which made a lot more sense of the chapter, just in a nutshell. Now, one of the main points in this chapter, in the editor's notes, both in the beginning and end of the chapter in the manga stream translation, it said that basically this is a battle between two beings that essentially transcend, common sense. And that makes perfect sense. These two beings do transcend common sense. You have a hand that is able to speak without organs, and then you have Mayuri, which is a scientist that just somewhat defies reality in some senses. So yeah, it was really interesting. And this chapter was, I would say, not as reveal heavy. This chapter was more action packed than the previous chapter, whereas the previous chapter was more, was a chapter that left you asking more questions rather than giving you answers and things of that nature. Whereas this chapter both have their benefits, but this isn't a comparison video between two chapters. This is a review of this chapter 638. So nonetheless, what do I think about this chapter? Overall, the chapter was a very good read, a very interesting read, and the things that I liked about it were that we got to see more of a showcase of Panaida's abilities. Also, if you're reading the manga stream translation, you can take it that it was somewhat confirmed that this is in fact the left hand of the Soul King. And as I was saying, in basically my Bleach question time Q&A video of my last chapter, that this being the left hand of the Soul King completely makes sense in terms of his form, his abilities, and what it's showcasing. The right hand of the Soul King looked like it was a shadowy figure, basically made up of whatever that shadowy mass is that the right arm of the Soul King is made of. But then the left arm seems to have a physical form. The right arm, on the other hand, basically seemed to deal with things like, to do with prayers and basically maintaining the spirit, essentially like balancing things out. Whilst this left hand is basically using his nerves, extending them out into physical objects and manipulating them, which makes sense tying in with its physical form, representing both yin and yang of that you see in Japanese anime and manga, and just basically Japanese mythology in general. It makes perfect sense. So you can take it from those basically connotations that this is in fact the left hand of the Soul King. So that's just where I'm going with that. Now, before I basically go off in a tangent, let's get back on track to the chapter review. Now, the things that I liked about this chapter, as I said before, that showcased a lot of Panaida's abilities, and it was also foreshadowing basically the defeat of Mayuri Kuretsuchi. And now, why do I say that? See, the thing is, what you have to notice about Mayuri is that whenever he gets into a battle, he's always prepared beforehand. He knows quite a lot about his opponent before he even engages in battle with them. But in this case, it's different. He's actually learning as he's fighting, and that's somewhat a dangerous and new territory for Mayuri, because whenever you don't know something about your enemy, it's easy for them to get the jump on you and surprise you, such as basically when he cut off the left arm of the Soul King's finger, the fact that he still able to shoot out nerves from his decapitated finger and somewhat attempt to control him. He had to basically reassemble his nerve endings and stuff, which was stated in this chapter in the manga stream translation, to be able to negate that. So that's something he had to come up with on the fly, not something that he's prepared beforehand. And that is a dangerous situation to be in, when your opponent can surprise you like that. You don't know what their abilities are. Yeah, granted that he doesn't know what your abilities are, but it's the one trying to kill you. Mayuri's not trying to kill it necessarily. He wants to capture it and examine it further. So in that sense, he's in a very dangerous situation, and that's why it ties into the previous chapter where Nemu said she basically said, is it Nemu? Yes, Nemu. Where Nemu essentially said that she hopes that the captain's going to be okay, because when you're in a situation like this, it's very, very dangerous. As I've stated over and over again, I'm pretty sure you guys get the message now. So overall, I'd say the chapter was a good read. Besides, you know, the initial action, there wasn't really much to comment on. Yeah, it was pretty interesting that you could see that Panida, the left arm of the Soul King, was able to insert its you know, shadow nerve endings into inanimate objects and basically make them come to life. Therefore, more tying in with the theory that I had about, you know, the left arm of the Soul King and the right arm of the Soul King representing both yin and yang, which both make sense as there being two opposite sides. So that's just my general thoughts about that. What else is there more to comment on the chapter? There isn't really until we see more next week's chapter. Next week's chapter, I predict that basically Mayuri. Actually, you know what? That brought up a point. So I just thought of something literally just now. Mayuri can make this battle so much easier on himself, but him basically going about things the way he's going about things, like, you know, wanting to showcase its powers, is playing a dangerous game when he could really end things right here and there. Now, the reason I say that is this. Yes, we know that the left arm of the Soul King is indeed very powerful, but what is Mayuri's Zanpakuto ability? If he stabs you, it paralyzes you. Is that not the perfect ability to combat the left arm of the Soul King with the powers and stuff that he showcased at the moment? And even if he uses Bankai, his Zanpakuto is the perfect match for it. So yeah, you can argue now that, you know, maybe he's in not so much danger as you thought, but I simply see that it's going to end up getting the jump on him, and that, you know, his curious nature is going to end up getting the better of him. As the saying goes, curiosity killed the cat. And in this sense, I believe it's going to be Mayuri Kuretsuchi. And that's just my general thoughts about it, based on, you know, the hints that Kubo has left throughout the previous chapter and this chapter. I just see that's the way that's going to go. But generally, that's my thoughts about the chapter. Sorry that this review is somewhat short, but there wasn't really too much to go off this time, and I would have really liked to have dove into it more. But until next week, we don't know what's going to happen. I can only make, you know, speculations and predictions, but speculations and theories isn't something that I normally do in my chapter. And my subscribers, especially my legacy subscribers, know this, that I'm more known for, you know, basically analysing something down to a T. But there isn't too much to analyse in the chapters, because what most people fail to understand is that when you have a chapter that is consistent, that mainly consists of action rather than dialogue and exposition and reveals, there isn't too much to dive into, because most of the chapter is laid out there for you on the page. There isn't too much to dive into beyond you know, what's being shown in front of you when it comes to action sequences, because that's the point of them. Action sequences are meant to be looked at and adored, not you know, analysed and dove into. Generally, that's just my thoughts about the chapter. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this week's chapter review. Don't forget to add me on Xbox Live, follow my Twitter and Facebook fan page to get regular updates of what's going to be going on with my channel. My gamer tag and all that will pop up on screen right about now through some annotations that I've created through some motion graphics using Photoshop and Final Cut Pro. So yeah, you know, click the link in the description to follow those. Okay, I made the jump because I completely screwed up the ending. Like, you know what, if I didn't cut this video, I swear I'd have made a complete fool of myself. Anyways guys, it's the one and only, the man, the myth, the J legend, aka your Captain of Squad X. I'm signing out, and as always my people, take care and peace. And before I completely go, remember to hit me up on my Xbox Live, Facebook fan page, Twitter fan page, and those links are coming up through annotation on screen and in the description below. So take it easy my people. Peace. I'm really forgetting stuff today. Oh guys, don't forget to, you know, like, hit me up in the comment section below for, you know, this week's question time. Question time, for my new subscribers who don't know, is the section of my channel where you guys will comment on this Bleach review about things that you want me to dive into in a basically proceeding discussion video. So I'm gonna select a few questions that, you know, that my subscribers leave. I'm gonna answer them directly, and after I've analysed the chapter some more. So yeah, you know, go for that. Hit me up in the comment section below, and yeah, that's all I gotta say. Peace.